Alrighty, good afternoon, folks. Those that are here in the room, those that may be watching the live stream or viewing the future recording. Welcome to, I guess, round 2 of October 9th. We'll be considering land use items. So we're coming out of recess from our morning session. It's 1 minute after 1 p.m. Emily, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Thayer?
Here.
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Schroeder?
Here.
Long day.
All righty. We are all here. We do have a quorum. We've got 2 items of business today. Both are rezones. Both will be handled in public hearing. And they're properties that are adjacent to one another. Again, what we're hearing today is simply the rezones. So it'd be overall entitlements for use of the properties. It's not platting, preliminary or final. So we're really discussing what's appropriate use or uses that'll become uses by right for these 2 properties. So without further ado, I'd request a motion to open public hearing on the Morstead PUD.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to open a public hearing on Morstead PUD rezone, case number P-2022-00039.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to open public hearing on the Morstead PUD. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. So we're in public hearing. Do we need a moment to get this up on the screen? Technology is great when it works, and it always tends not to the more you need it. Alrighty, so I will turn it over to you.
We're in business. Good afternoon, commissioners. I'm Jen Gardner with Logan Simpson, the consultant that reviews some of these PUDs for the county. We're here today to talk about the Morstead rezoning, case number PD 2022-00039. The request is to rezone from agriculture to planned unit development. Area size of 1,100.3 acres, and it's located north of County Road 174 between County Roads 21 and 29. The landowner is Lakeport CR LLC. The applicant is Atwell LLC. They held a pre-application meeting on August 4th, 2022. 2 community meetings, one on February 24th, 2021, and a second on October 3rd, 2022. The initial application that the county received was March of 2023. We had our Planning Commission hearing on September 3rd, 2024, and then we're here today for a Board of County Commissioners hearing. I do want to note that this application, just to kind of account for some of the time between the application and the hearing, the application did go through 3 rounds of referrals, and there was a 4th round on a couple of items. That didn't go out to the full referral list. It just went to the 2 remaining, to wrap up the 2 remaining comments that were still hanging out there. This hearing today was noticed noticed in accordance with the zoning and subdivision regulations. This is an exhaustive list of all the referrals. So this went out to Colorado Parks and Wildlife. There was no objections from them. Colorado Geologic Survey, no objections to the rezone. They did make some notes to consider for the construction documents later in the process. Colorado Division of Water Resources, they have preliminarily approved the documentation, noting that there will be the water supply letter will be requested at plat approval, so once we get into that process. Kiowa Conservation District had a few comments that were addressed. Core Electric comments were addressed. County assessors had no objections. Elbert County Public Works defers their review to Kimley Horn, same with County Engineer. Those comments were addressed. Kiowa Fire Protection District had no objections. Community Development Services, that was Logan Simpson, comments have been addressed. Building Department had no objections. There was no response from Sheriff or Public Health. And we did reach out to the Elizabeth School District as a courtesy, and they just wanted to understand kind of our review process at the county. There were no comments or objections. Here's just a map of that location, so you can see the site is bordered on the south by County Road 174, on the west by County Road 21, and on the east by County Road 29. The surrounding zoning and land uses to the north is zoned agriculture and is an agricultural use. To the east is zoned planned unit development and agriculture residential. Most of that land is single-family residential uses. To the south is zoned planned unit development and agriculture, primarily single-family residential, golf course, and some very small agricultural parcels. To the west is agricultural with an agricultural use. I'm just flash this up for a second to show the development plan. The applicant has a presentation that will go into a little bit more detail on this. I believe there's 22 planning areas, several internal, roads for circulating, quite a bit of open space. I'll go into some details on that here shortly as well. So the review criteria for a PUD rezone is the Morstead PUD rezone does meet the general requirements listed in the zoning regulations, Article 7, Section D, and the submittal requirements listed in Article 7, Section E, and the intent and purpose in Article 7, Section A, which states that PUDs are to promote innovative approaches, creative design, mixed-use development, allow for clustering, efficient use of open space, preservation of environmental conditions, and compatibility with overall county objectives. PUDs are also authorized by Colorado state statute. Getting a little further into the review criteria, Elbert County Zoning Regulations, Article 7, Section F, includes 6 review criteria to determine whether the proposed application conforms to the Elbert County Comprehensive Plan, is compatible with surrounding land uses, would adversely impact the provision of public services, would adversely impact the environment, would create unreasonable traffic congestion or burden the existing road system without improvements, and is not otherwise detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the present or future inhabitants of Elbert County. So I'm going to walk through this review criteria in a little bit more detail and show how we determine that they do meet all of these requirements. That first criteria is making sure that the application is consistent with the goals of the comprehensive plan. There's several goals from the comprehensive plan in the land use category. Speaks to residential development, encouraging a range of lot sizes and densities. The proposed development does include everything from 2 dwelling units per acre to 5 dwelling units per acre, and a total of 43.3 at the moment designated open space. Commercial development per the comprehensive plan requests that it provides residents with goods, services, and employment. The project does propose approximately 950,000 square feet of commercial and mixed-use development. So we felt those two goals were adequately addressed. Community resources, strive to provide public and community resources, services, and facilities to all county residents. Again, that commercial and mixed-use development proposed primarily around County Road 174 and at the corner of County Road 21 provide ease of access for not just the development, but other residents of the county. Strive to ensure that public safety services are sufficient to serve and protect the county. The proposed development includes several points of access, so there shouldn't be traffic issues. Each phase of the development will also include 2 points of access for emergency purposes. Continue with community resources. The comprehensive plan requests that applications create and maintain a safe and functional transportation system. As we saw from that original plan, they do propose a connected internal road system for safety and function. Encourage the formation of economically sustainable special districts. The development does propose special districts for the provision of water and wastewater internal to the development. Protect water resources. The proposed development does have adequate water supply to meet the 300-year requirement of the county. Designate parks, lands, and open space. As I said earlier, 43% of the site is proposed for designated parks and open lands. And then within each planning area, there will be individual parks and an open space system connecting the planning areas along with trails throughout. Natural resources. For the general environment, safely foster a balance between natural and developed environment. The development does propose a mix of lot sizes divided by that designated open space, so I feel like that does safely foster that balance. Water quality, protect the water quality for the health and safety of the citizens. There are several detention ponds proposed throughout the project that will treat surface stormwater runoff for water quality purposes. Water conservation, strive to ensure permanent, renewable, and reliable water supplies, including water conservation measures. So the project does propose landscaping that will incorporate native and adapted plant species to conserve water. And the included water analysis illustrates that the project can provide sufficient potable water without adversely affecting the local aquifers. Economic development, promote strong, diverse economic development. As we've seen previously in this presentation, the proposed development does have commercial and mixed-use areas that meet this goal. Recreation and tourism, strive to create an environment that encourages recreation and tourism. The proposed extensive trail system will connect residents within the development and the region. The rest of the criteria in the zoning regulations, the proposed rezoning is compatible with surrounding land uses. To the north, which is agricultural use currently, the project proposes large lot residential of a very low density, 1/2 to 1 acre parcels. The east and west sides of the property are currently low density residential and agricultural uses, and they have proposed estate lot residential uses of 5 acre parcels to kind of create a transition and buffer into those rural areas. To the south, as we stated earlier, is a PUD that's already fairly well developed with single family detached and attached residential commercial uses, and this project will mirror that and mimic some of those uses. The proposed rezoning will not adversely impact the provision of public services. As we stated earlier, the central water and wastewater system that are proposed for the development, and then core electric expansion, which actually one of the little notches out of the project are where one of the new substations will go. And so core has anticipated this potential development in their expansion, so they're fully covered for those public services. The proposed rezoning will not adversely impact the environment. Project proposes Running Creek open space being preserved, dark sky lighting, and water-wise landscape. The proposed rezoning would not create unreasonable traffic congestion or burden to the existing road system without improvements. The improvements are proposed with this project. They're spelled out in the traffic impact study. County Road 174 and 21 will be improved to county road standards. And just to note that the traffic impact study was approved for the rezone. A more detailed study will be evaluated and submitted with the preliminary plat. So if additional impacts to the area should accumulate, by that time, those will be considered in the additional traffic studies. The proposed rezoning will not otherwise be detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the present or future inhabitants of Elbert County. The allowed uses are not industrial in nature, should not provide any air, noise, smell, or light pollution. So with that, staff finds the following: that the proposed rezoning meets all the criteria for approval in the Elbert County zoning regulations, including conformance with the Elbert County Comprehensive Plan. The proposed rezoning meets the requirements of the Elbert County intent, purpose, and regulations for the PUD. And the proposed rezoning will not result in significant impact to the health, safety, and welfare of the residents and landowners in the surrounding areas. Planning Commission did recommend approval of this case to the Board of County Commissioners by a 4-3 vote, following due process at a public hearing on September 3rd, 2024. After hearing the following public comments, there was some comment about how does this relate to the water study that the county is currently undertaking. They were concerned about traffic impacts on County Road 21 and 74 going east of 29, primarily with additional applications coming in. And as I said earlier, that will be addressed through the preliminary plat process. There was a question about financial security of the applicant or developer. Those were addressed at the hearing. And concerned about environmental impacts, specifically federally protected species that have a large protection area. None were identified on the site in the initial research, so that would be something that would be considered moving forward into preliminary plat. So the Community and Economic Development Department recommends the Board of County Commissioners approve the Morstead rezoning located northwest of the intersection of County Roads 174 and 29 with the following 3 conditions. The applicant will be required to move the public hearing signs within 7 days of the decision. The preliminary plat shall be submitted and approved, followed by final plats for each phase or filing, which shall be recorded prior to construction of any lots. The developer must demonstrate that the Board of County Commissioners has approved the service plan for water and sanitation district, authorized to provide water within the plat boundary area no later than 1 year from the date of resolution approving any preliminary plat, or provide the county with a proposed financing plan demonstrating capacity to construct the water infrastructure and serve the community shown on the plat no later than 18 months after the preliminary plat is approved. And a development agreement, which has been preliminarily drafted, will be completed and accepted by the county attorney in final form at the plat stage. That is all I have for staff's presentation. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for staff at this time?
Just real quickly, could you go back to the review criteria slide, number 1?
This one here, or the previous one?
The one that had the bullet points with it. Specifically, what I'm looking at is the dwelling unit per acre.
Oh, okay.
That was up there. So on the screen, it says that first one in yellow, proposed development ranges from 2.0 dwelling units per acre to 5. In our packet here has 0.2 dwelling unit.
You are correct. It is 0.2 to 5.
It's 0.2, okay. Thank you.
And could you move to the map, the area map?
Yep.
Kind of the description,
This one or the previous map?
like the previous one. Yeah, I was just questioning, and I don't think it impacts the zoning, but perhaps when we get to the preliminary plat, looks like Kiowa Fire was the referral agency, but I believe this sits astride Rattlesnake and Elizabeth Fire. I saw Chief Lemansky from Kiowa did answer he had no objections, but,
Yeah,
and maybe the lines are different in my head, but this,
we can look into that. I know we send all of our referrals to Kiowa and Rattlesnake,
Okay.
just to make sure, and I believe Rattlesnake had no, they never replied.
because they do have a station in Sun Country immediately to the east of it, which,
Okay,
well, but when we get to the plating,
take a look.
certainly if it falls within Rattlesnake or Elizabeth, they certainly need to be
Sure,
looking at that.
absolutely.
Thanks. Nope, the rest I don't have any questions on.
I do have one additional condition that we need to add for the record. The rezone shall not become effective until all fees are paid, conditions of approval are met, and the rezone exhibit is recorded. Given that some of these conditions are stating that that the next step needs to be taken, I would say the fees need to be paid.
All righty, appreciate that. So with that, I'd invite the applicant to present. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, all commissioners and staff. I'm Donna Barentine, the project manager with Atwell Civil Engineers and Land Entitlement Consultants. We are here to present the Morstead PUD on behalf of the landowner, Morstead LLC. The prior applicant reference was Lakeport CF. They have been recently under limited liability corporation, so that's why I'm referring now to Morstead LLC. We have a brief presentation prepared that includes an introduction to the project team. We have a project location map, which has already been covered, but we'll quickly touch on that. A presentation of the guiding documents that were used as we prepared our goals and policies for this project. And then we'll have a presentation on the actual PUD plan and concept plan layout for the development. And then we will turn it over to our traffic engineering consultant, who will talk about the traffic infrastructure. And then we're going to wrap up with the approval criteria that was used in considering this application. I believe this staff went through that in great detail. I think we'll just touch on those as needed. And then we also have Jim Marshall with Spring Valley Metro District here to talk about water as needed, if there's any questions regarding that. So let's go to meeting the team now. As I mentioned, our client and landowner, Morstead LLC. We also have representatives here from Atwell, myself as the project manager, Donna Barentine, and then we also have Jeff French, who's the vice president of land development at Atwell. And we have PCS Group, Paul Shoklas and Carly Rodriguez, who's our planning and landscape architecture consultants, and Chris McGranahan here with LSC Transportation Consultants, who did our traffic study for the project. As staff indicated, our project site is roughly 1,100 acres. It borders on the west by County Road 21, on the east by County Road 29, and then County Road 174 to the south. The Morstead PUD was prepared with Elbert County's comprehensive plan and its master transportation plan in mind for the goals and visions for this community. And then specifically looking at the comprehensive plan, the Morstead PUD supports the goals of the comprehensive plan by offering residential development with lot sizes ranging from less than 1/4 of an acre and patio homes up to 5-acre estate lots. The new development will also cover all the costs for on- and off-site roads and utilities required to meet the associated demands of the development. We will also preserve open space and provide parks and trails to be compatible with the rural character of Elbert County. We also have clustered residential villages surrounded by landscape buffers surrounding the perimeter of the property. This project will also have public land dedications with adequate access routes and roads, public water and sanitary sewer service, and other utilities necessary to serve the site. This planned community also supports goals of the comprehensive plan by offering over 72 acres of commercial development, which will bring goods and services and employment opportunities to the community. The commercial development also includes arterial road access and arterial road developments and public sanitary, public water and sanitary service. The PUD includes paving of major collector roads within this community and surrounding the subdivision. We will also have connections to existing centralized potable water and sanitary wastewater treatment facilities through service with Spring Valley Metro District. I apologize, my throat is scratchy. This project also considers and will establish water conservation measures to prolong water supplies and extend aquifer life and aquifer sustainability. I will now ask PCS Group, Paul Shoklis, to come up and talk to you all about the PUD plan itself and the concept plan for the community.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Paul Shukas. I'm with PCS Group. We are representing the landscape architecture and planning portion of the project. Thanks again for being here this afternoon to listen to our application. It also gives me a quick moment to thank staff for being a liaison through this process. Without their support and their guidance, we wouldn't be standing in front of you here today, so we really appreciate that as well. So right now at this time, we're really just simply requesting, as you're aware, a PUD zoning. And this slide is really just an illustrative version of our PUD. You know, it's approximately 1,100 acres. We've kind of gone over that this supports a lot of the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan. And we're proposing, as you can see, a lot of different sizes and densities in lots. And they're going to range from 5-acre lots adjacent to existing residential along the east side of County Road, where County Road 29 is, and similarly on the northwest side. And this is basically the RA1 zone district. And then there's 3 centrally located planning areas on the north side of the property. And those will be pretty much under, under Elbert County's standard R2 zone district. And as we move south into the property, those yellow planning areas that are proposed are basically single-family detached areas. And as we get closer to County Road 174, those darker yellow areas, we're proposing more flexible zoning there. And that'll be single-family detached, duplexes, or townhomes. And then that brown parcel, thank you. Staff's requested that we move that, and we have that as duplexes or patio homes. So again, we feel like this supports the comp plan, and we're proposing approximately 36 acres of regional commercial at the intersection of 174 and County Road 21. And then we're proposing another 36-acre parcel that's going to be commercial mixed use, thank you, on 174. And both of these zoning areas are basically following the standard Elbert County Commercial Zoning District. So overall, this proposal is barely over 1 dwelling unit per acre. Do you mind going to the next slide, please? Thanks. So this is our open space slide. And we've planned out for 3 community areas, and they're essentially large park areas that range from approximately 6 to 12 acres, and they're the darker green spots on the plan. In total, we're looking at around 43% of the property in open space, or over 450 acres. And we're trying to preserve a lot of the natural features on the property, which basically run within Running Creek and Hay Gulch. Additionally, we're proposing 3 neighborhood park areas, which range from about 2.5 to 3 acres in size, 5 pocket park areas as well. And the dotted lines that you see all running through there are going to represent a multitude of different styles of trails, but totaling approximately 16 miles throughout the community. Do you mind going to the next slide for me, please? Thanks. So this is our concept plan. And as the part of the zoning request, we're required to provide a concept plan. And this essentially depicts how we're proposing the lots within some of those zoning parcels and how it could be designed in slightly more detail, but it does not replace the preliminary plat process, which, as you guys know, is the next step to the land entitlement process. So with this being said, the concept plan basically highlights a lot of the diverse range of housing that we're proposing within the site. And on the edges of the property, you can see that we're doing the 5-acre lots on the west and on the east side. We have a 150-foot buffer that basically goes around the perimeter of the site there to help transition to existing residential uses. And then you can see some of the smaller lot sizes are more focused centrally internal to the property. Do you mind going to the next slide for me? Thanks. So real briefly, we collected a little bit of imagery to help you visualize just how we'd like the architectural character of some of the commercial areas to look like, some of the residential signage and residential areas, as well as some of the community elements like trail signage and things like that, and fencing as well, just to really try to tie the community together as a whole to make it more cohesive. Thank you. And similarly, we've done the same thing to some of the landscape slides. We're trying to visually describe the potential landscape character of the community, but really in general, we're trying to look for a naturalistic approach in the landscape design and within the community, focusing on a lot of native plants and plant material that have either low or no water requirements. So from here, I'm going to turn it over to Chris McGranahan from LSC Traffic Consultants, because traffic is always something that comes up during these things, and then I'll be back up here to wrap her up.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you, commissioners and staff. My name is Chris McGranahan. I'm with LSC Transportation Consultants. I'm the managing principal of our Denver office and the president of the firm. You'll see here, this first slide shows an excerpt from the Transportation Master Plan the county issued 5 or 6 years ago in 2018, 2021. It was approved in 2021, but started before that. So that's the map off to the left, just indicating where the project is up in the top left of the county, which I think we all know. The top right there, you see the proposed PD. This is the criteria related to traffic. The proposed PUD will not create unreasonable traffic congestion or burden the existing road without improvements, which we plan to do. The next section here shows some of the recently improved roadways in the area, primarily completed by the Spring Valley Ranch development. So improvements to the construction of 178, and then construction or improvements to County Road 13, and then paving of 174, generally west of the Morstead project. Future roadway connections, 174, as you've seen before, is proposed to be connected between County Road 21 and 29, likely with adjacent development. If we go to the next slide, please. So the picture is just an excerpt from the traffic study, and these are all the large projects that we knew about at the time the traffic study was completed. That's just a reference of all those, where they are geographically around Morstead, kind of all to our west, south, and southeast. The traffic impact study, the proposed site will be what we anticipate is the proposed site will be developed in multiple phases over time, with residential phases likely being 200 to 400 dwelling units. So, as mentioned earlier, as preliminary plats come forward, maybe it's 1 or 2 filings or 3 or 4 filings, but there would be a much more detailed traffic study that focuses more on the individual intersections and not so much this giant area all around the project. We'll include some of that, but the phased traffic studies will be more focused to the filing proposed at the time and what specifically would be needed for that project. I'll talk briefly about what the traffic study included. It had a build-out analysis that was coordinated with Elbert County. That was done specifically with staff and with Kimley Horn. We initially prepared a technical memo that included some of our high-level assumptions that would be included in the traffic study, so staff and Kimley Horn could review that before we did the full document. That study made recommendations for future lane geometry and traffic control in quite a large area. The traffic study was submitted and accepted with no further comments, and as I mentioned before, the supplemental studies will be prepared with each future plat. Go to the next slide, please. This will be the last traffic slide. So this intersection just shows, I'm not going to go through this in a lot of detail, but it shows a lot of the things we anticipate that will be required with this project, and a lot of these will be confirmed with future studies to determine which of these items may be needed at each specific phase of the project. So now I'll turn it back over to, maybe to Donna. Paul, back to Paul.
Okay. So Paul, back up here. Staff's already provided a pretty detailed analysis of the review criteria. So without going through these verbatim, I think I'd just like to say that our design group agrees with all of them, and we appreciate you putting this together for us. Next slide, please. This is really just to say where we are in the process and what our next steps are. And I know that you all know what this is. I think this is just a benefit for those here around us and watching this. Should you formally approve the zoning, really the next steps at this point would be the preliminary plat stage, where we get into more detail on the engineering analysis and more specific lot layouts. And this is also a public process with a lot of community meetings and engagement, as well as public hearings with all the required notifications. And we also anticipate the formation of a metropolitan district, again, subject to all the requirements of public hearings and notifications, and then final plat, which would pretty much go through the same thing, which is community meetings, planning commission, and county commissioners. So we're good here. So with that, it basically concludes our presentation. Our design team's here to answer any questions you might have. Mr. Marshall from Spring Valley Metropolitan District is also here, should more clarity on water supply be needed as well. So thanks again for the opportunity to present. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Marshall.
Marshall, Spring Valley Metropolitan District. We've been talking to the owners of the property for quite some time, and the concept or the reality that it probably was the right thing for Spring Valley to provide water and sewer service for this property became pretty clear pretty quickly. I've had several discussions now with the state on at both the water level and the wastewater. And as you guys are aware, we're actively pursuing direct reuse water options. The only negative thing that's happened since I last talked to you is that the state isn't ready. They don't have the people in place or the standards in place yet exactly to be able to approve anything. So we're not exactly sure how long that will take, but we are moving forward with our direct reuse program. We have plenty of water. We've got plenty of capacity in our wastewater plant. We're working on doubling the size of our wastewater plant. It's currently at 0.3 MGD, which is 300,000 gallons per day. to 600,000 gallons per day. We think even with Morstead, we'll need about 400 to 450,000 gallons a day. So we'll have a good amount of headroom once we do the expansion. Fire district, just because I happen to know, the fire district works, Elizabeth does not come any further north than the south end of Spring Valley Ranch. So I suspect all these lots are going to be Rattlesnake. So I don't think anything to do with Elizabeth at all. I think we have 22 lots in Spring Valley that are actually in the Elizabeth Fire District. And those are the ones that are south of Augusta Loop in another section. So there was a couple other things that came up. There's going to be a lot of synergy here between Spring Valley and Morstead and some planning coordination, especially on water and sewer. But and I know there's going to be some roads that they're going to have to build. So I can answer any other questions you have on water or sewer or anything else. I guess the only thing I'd offer too, I was at the Planning Commission hearing, and the question came up about the financial viability of the applicant. And the partners in the individuals that are responsible for the community today, back in the day, were silent partners, and now they're the active partners. And they've gone through an exhaustive process to basically clean the title up and clean up all the issues that were out there. So they're in a good financial position. The metro districts will be formed. There will be multiple metro districts, probably about 6 or 7, is what I would guess at this point. And I think that's about all I want to say. There is one of the owners here today, Jean-Marc Orlando. He lives in Houston and originally from France, so he's got a little bit of an accent, but he did come today.
Appreciate it. Do we have any, I think that concluded what you, okay. Do we have any questions for the applicant at this time? Okay. I just had I guess a couple conceptual ones. It was mentioned that public lands would be designated. I assume the ownership and maintenance of those public lands would remain with one of the metro districts. Okay. I'm getting nods, but, and then for the commercial areas, do you view those as providing the goods and services that serve that community to make it somewhat self-sufficient, or is that regional retail, or what are your thoughts on filling that out?
I mean, honestly, if I were to give you a direct answer, I think it would be something that would be something with some uncertainty. I can say with certainty that the commercial areas were sized appropriately so that way they could house something that was more of a regional benefit for the community, or if market conditions allow, something more intimate like you're saying. Since they're both sized at almost 40 acres, that can actually house, I'm not saying like a Walmart is gonna come in here, but if it did, this site would be appropriate for that.
And then finally, I guess in timing, I know you had Metro District's final plat. Do you anticipate a first final plat coming in with the preliminary, or, okay, I'm seeing some nods in the back, so just trying to get a feel for timing.
Currently, if we could.
Alrighty. And then finally, this was more on roadways. If I recall, there was a potential 4-lane extending through 174. Maybe I think the next slide perhaps had there was one that showed potential future 4-lane roads. Okay. Yeah, so the blue lines being 4-lane roads. I know you had 150-foot setbacks generally in the design, but would that be in addition to the right-of-way that would, I'm assuming, and this is future, not for this plat, but the county would be asking to dedicate the right-of-way for the future 4-lane in that area, so we're not eating up potential open space or setbacks in the future. Okay. Nothing else? Okay.
The right-of-way dedication is necessary for the 4-lane road, and then the 150 buffer
From there.
would be from there.
Okay, I appreciate that. While you're up, ma'am, I would, I guess, just ask if you accept the conditions that were proposed, including the one that was discussed earlier on all fees paid and documents recorded as
Yes,
an
we
additional.
do accept the
Okay.
conditions.
Thank you. So with that, I would open for public comment at this time. Seeing none, I'll close public comment and ask for any final discussion or a motion.
I have a quick question, and that is, with all of these roads going in all the different directions, I didn't see really a road development plan in here. Does that come with the preliminary plat?
That would be my understanding, yes. Our traffic study was designed to make sure that it was possible to accommodate the build-out of the project, and then these future filings will get a lot more specific. You know, is there a turn lane and an access? Is there a future roundabout? The graphic a little further in shows some of the high-level things that we know about, like how many lanes of roads and what's going to be paved, but some of the more granular details will come through those site-specific studies in the future.
And the other question is one of your people mentioned that there may be 4 or 5 phases, and I'm just wondering how that relates to the road plan.
Well, you know, as the traffic engineer, I would work with our team to figure out what the first phase would be, and we would do a fairly detailed traffic study for phase 1. I couldn't really tell you how many phases there'll be. That's probably a question for someone else, but I would imagine each one of those phases would have a traffic study. As an example, though, there may be a couple really small, maybe the first phase is only 50 or 100 lots, but we may choose as a team to do a traffic study for the first few filings so that we're not doing a traffic study for every 50 or 100 lots. That I could see that happening.
No, I know project is actually much lengthier than even the timeline proposed. I believe under different ownership, it was presented as Deerfield at one point. There were community meetings for that project. This is very similar, but so it's probably about a 4-year, if not longer, process in my recollection. And so, again, I appreciate the efforts, and I know as the PUD, it's hard to say what the future will actually hold when we get all the way through to preliminary platting and final platting, but I appreciate the efforts made to now, the changes that generally point to 5-acre lots across 29 from the 5-acre lots in Sun Country and accommodating the existing residents, I think. So,
Just a quick comment, and one of the things that if we in fact approve this PUD, there's still multiple hearings that will go on before the first house is built, or the first road is built, or all of this kind of thing. So one of the things, again, if there are people out there that have any issues that haven't been described or defined here in this particular application, they will come up in the preliminary plat or the road agreement or the metro district or whatever. And I'm guessing there'll be at least a half a dozen additional hearings before the then county commissioners before this is approved in full.
all righty, I guess with that, I would accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve Morstead PUD rezone case number PD 2022-00039.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the Morstead PUD rezoning. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. I would accept a motion to close public hearing on this item.
Mr. Chair, I move we close public hearing on Morstead PUD rezone case number PD 00039.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close public hearing on this item. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. The hearing is closed. I'm going to call about a 5-minute recess just for a comfort break, so we'll reconvene at about 1. All righty. I've got a thumbs up that we can continue. So it is 1:59. We're returning from recess. All 3 commissioners are present and we still have a quorum. As in our last hearing, we'll follow the same general roadmap. Staff will provide an overview of the application. We'll invite the applicant to present. We may have questions for either. We will open for public comment. If any is received, we'll give the opportunity for the applicant to respond. We may have questions of our own again at that time, and then we'll proceed to a determination. So with that, I would ask for a motion to open a hearing for Hillside Estates rezone RZ 2024-5010.
Mr. Chairman, I move we open the hearing for Hillside Estates rezone RZ 2024-5010.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to open public hearing on this item. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. We're in public hearing. Jennifer, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, Jennifer Jones, Planning Manager, presenting the Hillside Estates rezone, case number RZ 2024-5010. A few details of the case. This project is to rezone 41.6-ish acres from A, agriculture to residential 1 or R1 zoning. The Planning Commission did hear this proposal and vote 8-0 to recommend approval with conditions to the Board of County Commissioners. The recommended action today is approval with conditions, and the location is 5010 Hunt Circle. The applicant, there's a lot of the same faces in here today, or this afternoon. The applicant for this project is also Atwell LLC. This project began in February of this year with a pre-application meeting. A community meeting was held in April, followed by formal application in June. And then just a little bit of history. This project was actually supposed to be heard by the Planning Commission in September of 2024. There was not a quorum at that hearing, and it was then continued to October 1st, which is the time when that 8-0 recommendation did come through. And that brings us to today. And the noticing was completed in accordance with the Elbert County zoning regulations. Here's a very zoomed out aerial map of the site. The subject property will have a red star on it in the next few slides. Douglas County is located approximately 5 miles to the west of this site, and the subject site is about 10 miles northeast of the town of Elizabeth. A little bit more zoomed in aerial map. You can see in this depiction that the subject site is located east and north of the Spring Valley Ranch. This site is located directly west of the Morstead PUD, which was previously heard by this commission. And you can see that the site is located on the east side of County Road 21. The zoning, as of a few minutes ago, my zoning map is a little bit outdated now, mostly surrounded by green here showing agriculture zoning. The purple areas are PUDs, and then as mentioned, the rezoning to PUD earlier this afternoon is located directly essentially to the east of this, 1,100 acres to the east. The rezone exhibit for your review, again, this is a little over 41.5 acres shown in yellow. The minimum lot size in the proposed R1 zoning is a lot size of at least 1 acre. These are the referral agencies that have received and reviewed the application. There are no outstanding objections from the following agencies at this point related to the rezoning itself. The agencies shown did receive this referral but did not respond. Per the Elbert County zoning regulations, the review criteria found in Article 3, C4 should be considered in the review of all rezoning applications. Those 6 criteria are as follows. For number 1, it can be found that the proposed rezoning conforms with the goals of the comprehensive plan. The proposed rezone is compatible with the surrounding land uses. Surrounding properties are either zoned agriculture or PUD as shown. Number 3, the Elbert County Public Works has reviewed the proposal, and they have stated that there will be future discussions related to this development pertaining to off-site improvements to Hunt Circle and County Road 21. Those would be handled through the plating process, and there's not any objections to the rezoning itself. For number 4, it can be found that the proposed rezone will not adversely impact the environment. Colorado Geological Society recommends that Elbert County require a preliminary geotechnical investigation at the time of future development. Again, this would be handled at the time of plating, and there's no objections to the proposed rezoning. 5, it can be found that the proposed rezoning would not create unreasonable traffic congestion or burden the existing road system without improvements as presented at this time. Elbert County Public Works will have future discussions on this development as it continues and in conjunction with other proposals, roadway improvements. And number 6, finally, it can be found that the proposed rezoning will not be otherwise detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the present or future inhabitants of Elbert County. Elbert County Planning staff with the Planning Commission recommend approval with conditions of case Z 2024-5010 to rezone 41.62 acres from A agriculture to R1 residential 1. The recommendation is subject to the following conditions. 1, the applicant will be required to remove the public hearing signs within 7 days of the approval by the Board of County Commissioners. 2, the rezone should not become effective until all fees are paid, conditions of approval are met, and the rezone exhibit is recorded. And 3, recordation of all appropriate documents to occur within 180 days of the Board of County Commissioners' approval. These are all standard conditions. With that, staff is available to answer any questions, and the applicants are also present to present and answer your questions.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for staff at this time? Nope. At this point, I'd ask the applicant forward.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Donna Barentine, Project Manager with Atwell LLC. We are the civil engineering and land entitlement consultants representing the landowner, B&G Capital. We have our team here with us today that includes PCS Group and LSC Transportation. They will not be speaking today, but available here for any questions you might have. The site, as staff mentioned, is bordered in the north by Hunt Circle and County Road 21 to the west, and then on the east and south sides of the property, the proposed rezone is bordered by the PUD for Morstead. The next slide presents the zoomed in aerial photograph that shows the 41.62 acre parcel, showing the intended main access road off of Hunt Circle with a secondary access drive off of County Road 21. This will be a straight rezone from agriculture to R1 zoning, allowing 1 acre minimum lot sizes. This next slide, we're not going to go into detail because, again, I believe staff covered that very well, but I just wanted to mention some items here that we considered for this application. And starting with the proposed rezoning is generally consistent with the goals and policies of the Elbert County Comprehensive Plan. It is compatible with the surrounding land uses such as residential and agriculture. Additionally, the proposed rezoning will not adversely impact the provision of public services. And the project will include public water, centralized sanitary sewer, and regional stormwater management. This rezoning would not create unreasonable traffic congestion or burden the existing road system without additional roadway improvements. And then finally, we believe the rezoning will not be detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the present or future inhabitants of Elbert County. That's really all that I wanted to cover, and I want to thank staff for working through this process with us, and we are open to answer any questions you may have.
I guess I got a quick question. Will there be some road agreements with your neighbor? It just got approved.
We are, this community for B&G Capital will work closely with the Morstead community as we proceed with our preliminary plat, final plats, construction drawings. We're going to be looking at roadway access off of Hunt Circle. Both Morstead and this rezone parcel will need access off of Hunt Circle, so there will be collaboration between ownership groups on roadway and utility infrastructure.
I guess then basically the same as far as water provided to this is the same as what we just heard with Morstead going through Spring Valley.
Yes, that's correct. This development is also proposed to be served by Spring Valley Metro District and has a letter of intent to serve.
And then, I guess, being a parcel of less than 80 acres, we have no open space requirement, but there is a cash in lieu requirement that I'm sure staff will be discussing as
That's correct.
as we go through.
We're aware of that.
Okay. And then I guess so, since you're here, were you okay with the conditions of approval that were presented?
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Okay. And at this point, I guess I'll open for public comment. And seeing none, I will close public comment and ask if there's any final discussion, or
I have none.
nor do I, so I would ask for a motion.
Oh, I guess I'm doing it. I should wake up here. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Hillside Estates rezone RZ 20245010 as long as the applicant accepts the conditions of approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. If there's no final discussion, I just want to make the point that for the designation of the application of 2024-5010, this is not the 5010th rezone we've had this year. It's simply the address off of Hunt Circle. So with that, I would ask all those in favor to vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. The application is approved with the conditions that were stated, and I would ask for a motion to close public hearing at this time.
Mr. Chairman, I move we close public hearing on Hillside Estates rezone RZ 20245010.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close public hearing on this item. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Hearing is closed. Jennifer, do we have any other business?
No, sir.
All righty, with that, then, it is 12:12, and I would request a motion to adjourn for the day.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn for the day.
Second.
All righty. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, folks.